This is Duke University.
Welcome to the 9th annual, or not annual, I guess, 9th.
Semi-annual.
Semi-annual DukeGEN Startup Showcase. We do one in New York every year and one here in San Francisco. I believe this is the 5th in San Francisco. Kind of crazy to believe that we've done that many. But thank you all for joining us today. Out of curiosity, how many of you, is this your first time joining us for a DukeGEN event? And how many of you are OGs, been here before? All right, good mix. So I guess for those of you who've been here before, make sure you say hello to the newbies and vice versa, and hope all of you have a great time tonight. We got a great panel that we'll introduce you in a little bit. We got a great set of startups, and we're gonna have a lot of fun. Before we get started, wanted to do a couple quick intros and thank yous. The faces you see on the screen, although Reed's blocking some of them, but the faces you see on the screen, this is a part of the team that helped put this together today. There was a lot of hard work that went into pulling all this together. With Howie on the home team down at Duke, along with Marie Angela, they did a lot of the heavy lifting to kind of get all this together. I wanted to thank Bobby Brennan right there from Google. He's our host tonight, so thank Bobby and Google. I think I can say I've been to 5 of these. This is our best setup yet. Everyone can hear me. We got nice space in between each other. We're not piled in, so that's really great. I also want to thank Jen Snook. Is she around, Jen? Yeah. For helping as well. Tracy Henson, she's not here. She's also with Google. She helps as well. She's on maternity leave, so hopefully she's having a lot more fun than we are tonight. Or maybe not. I don't know. It depends on what type of night it is, I suppose. But before we get started, I want to hand over to Howie and Reed. Howie and Reed are our original kind of co-founders of DukeGEN, and I wanted to give them an opportunity to kind of talk a little bit more about what DukeGEN's all about and what we're trying to do with it, and then we'll go from there.
Great. Thanks a lot, Matt. Appreciate it. So, as Matt said, Reed and I were 2 of the co-founders of DukeGEN back in 2008. And the question that you see here, how do you connect Dukies interested in startups? That was the question that was on our minds back in 2008. We felt that it was really hard to find other Duke alums and even Duke students or faculty members that were interested in startups. And so we set out to solve that.
And to help people who were starting companies. As an entrepreneur, I felt like there was a great network that supported people from Stanford and MIT. I don't have any issues with that, but I felt like Duke people ought to be helping Duke people. And this audience is full of people that are eager to help you if you're doing a startup. So we've achieved that goal. Yeah.
Thank you. So there were 2 main takeaways from 2008. We said, let's create productive connections for folks, and hopefully tonight you'll make some productive connections. And the other thing we said is, let's make progress each week. So Reed and I have essentially talked every week for the last 6 years and made progress each week with the helps of Matt and some of the team members that Matt mentioned earlier. So just to give you some thoughts as to where we've come from. So in 2008, we started a LinkedIn group. Obviously, we didn't have anybody there on that group. And now in 2014, we've got 6,000 members. These are all Duke alumni or people connected to Duke in one way or the other, which makes us the largest university-based entrepreneurship group on LinkedIn. And one thing that helps us with is if people like Chandra Levy, who's a Duke alum in Boston, asks a question, then you might not be able to see it if you're in the back there, but 24 people replied to her question and offered advice and suggestions for her. And you can scroll down here and just see that some of those answers that people offered there for her, some of that advice was pretty detailed, which is nice. So the next thing we started doing is we said, hey, let's get people together in person, not just do something virtually. And we said, let's do a networking event run by volunteers, Duke alumni volunteers, anywhere that they are, and let's just see what happens. And so these are pictures of our first event, which was held in multiple cities on the same night. Here we see Durham, Atlanta, and DC. And it was such a great success that we've done it again and again ever since then.
Right, and Howie said a key thing there that we do everything at DukeGEN with the help of volunteers. So Matt thanked everyone who put this together, right? 5 years in a row we've done this. It's a lot of work. And these networking events in the cities around the world are the same thing. They only happen because someone said, I'm going to do it and make it happen and stick with it. Along the way, they help all the other Duke people, but they also help themselves by building a little personal brand equity.
That's right. And so since 2008, we've hosted over 150 events in the following locations, thanks to those volunteers. And our next set is coming up on August 6th. We'll be in these cities here. I think we've got about 15 cities lined up, including here in San Francisco. So we encourage you to come out and join us on August 6th at our next DukeGEN networking event. So just to breeze through a few other things we decided to do, we got a lot of requests saying, who are the investors that are Duke alums that are out there? So we have this list of about 200 alums that are investors on our website.
Yeah, how many of you know that we have a website? Okay, so DukeGEN has a lot of dimensions, right? There's the face-to-face dimension, which is absolutely critical. The LinkedIn really brought us all together, but the website and the personal relationships that you make from the events are where you're going to get the real value. Everything we learn that we can share, we'll put on the website. So if something's missing, let us know. If your name belongs on there, let us know. But use these resources, because we're working hard to make them for you, or we collectively are doing that, and we really hope that we're going to be able to help you with your business and your life.
That's right. And so an additional thing that we added to the website is we started doing profiles of alumni entrepreneurs. So we've got about 40 profiles on there. And through that, we surfaced a few really interesting connections. So for example, Melissa and Doug is a toy company that has sold over $1 billion in toys. That was started by Duke alum named Melissa Bernstein. Mint.com was started by Aaron Patzer, another Duke alum. And Zico was started by Mark Rampolla, a Fuqua alum. And so just uncovering some of the interesting companies that have Duke connections. So the last thing that we did that connects us to where we are tonight is that Jim Scheinman, who's on our panel, suggested an idea. He said, hey, let's get people together. Let's get Duke startups together with Duke angel investors, and let's have them pitch to those angel investors in front of a Duke-friendly audience. So this is a picture of our first event from May 2010 at the old Dogpatch Labs, which was at Pier 38. And so these 8 Duke startups pitched to these 4 extremely handsome Duke angel investors and in front of this Duke-friendly audience of about 70 people that year. And it worked so well in San Francisco that we said, let's do it in New York City. So that fall, we were at Dogpatch Labs near Union Square. These 8 Duke teams pitched to these 4 mostly Duke investors in front of a Duke-friendly crowd. And so we've continued to do that. This is the next year in San Francisco at Rocket Space, startups, investors, crowd. And so that's where we are tonight. This is the 9th event. We had about 400 people RSVP'd for tonight's event, Duke alumni, and we're thrilled to see so many of you out here. So I'm not going to go. Yes, go ahead, please.
And we're streaming live, right?
We are streaming live.
So probably 400 of those people are watching.
That's right. That's right. Through the power of technology. So I won't go through all these ways to get involved. They're on the second to last page of your pamphlet. But there are a lot of ways to get involved, and we hope that you will consider participating with us. We love working with alumni. I will just highlight one of the best ways is that if you want to help judge the Duke Startup Challenge, this past year we had over 500 Duke alumni judges, and it's a great way for you to be involved. You can do it virtually. You don't have to travel anywhere, and so I would encourage you to consider that.
And since you're entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs, there's no better way to improve your skills than to read other people's pitch decks and business plans. You really will see a lot, and you'll learn, and when you do yours the next time, you'll be better for it. So sign up.
Great. So really quick before we continue, since we're here in the Bay Area, DukeGEN's all over the place. It's really all over the world, but I wanted to just highlight some of the things going on this summer in the Bay Area because we have a lot going on. It's going to be a really exciting summer. So we're here tonight. We're at the Startup Showcase. As Howie mentioned, the next happy hour networking event is on August 6th, kind of a nice way to kind of cap the summer. You'll keep an eye out for more details on that. We also have a lot of students here this summer. How many current students are here tonight? Oh, they put you all in the back, huh? All right. Next year, you get to move up forward, don't worry. They're here for a lot of reasons, but there's two programs that got started a couple years ago that I just want to kind of highlight really quickly. One is Duke in Silicon Valley course. It's taught down the peninsula. Matt Christensen, I believe it's a 4 or 5 week course, and the students are kind of partaking in that class, learning a ton about building sustainable enterprises, entrepreneurship, and then we'll kind of go out and spend the rest of their summer doing internships. We also have a program called Duke Summer Innovation Program that's in its 3rd year, where we help match up Duke students with Duke alums for internships, and then also kind of supplement that with experiences throughout the summer where they get to meet and interact with other Duke alumni in kind of more of a mentorship, talks, that sort of thing. It's been a lot of fun. The students who have partaken in it have gotten a ton of value out of it, learned a lot. So tonight's kind of kicking off the next round for this summer, and we're really excited. We got some great stuff planned. We saw a perfect game at Giant Stadium a couple of years ago, so that was a highlight as well. Hit the slide. This is some students kind of enjoying a visit. We went and got to talk to Eddie Q down at Apple, which was a lot of fun. So with that, and I would say, for any of these events over the summer, if you think that it's something that you might want to get involved with, or you think that there's some way that you want to kind of either connect with students or speak with them, reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to kind of talk to you about everything that we got going on and give you some more details about it.
That's right, and alumni are welcome to join our summer Facebook group for the Bay Area students, so that way you can keep tabs on what's going on as well. Great, so it's my pleasure to introduce Vice Provost Eric Toon. So Eric came out from Durham to join us tonight. It's actually the 2nd time he's joined us. He joined us last year as well. And he's just done a phenomenal job of being the leader of what we're doing in innovation and entrepreneurship, and really organizing everything and making sure things are progressing both rapidly and in a way that makes a lot of sense. And so we invited Eric to come up here and give you a little bit of an update as to what's going on and to say hello to those of you who he hasn't met before. So with that, let's give Eric a warm welcome.
Thanks, Howie. It's great to be here again. It's great to see such an enthusiastic crowd. You know, one of the things that always amazes me is the loyalty of the Duke family, and I think that the Duke family here in the Bay Area is an especially active group. It's really inspiring. It's great to see what Matt and Howie and Reed have done, putting together another spectacular program, and I know we all can't wait to see it. So this is the first full year that I was back at Duke leading the initiative, and I think there's been an awful lot of progress. It's been an awful lot of fun. For those of you who haven't had a chance to look at the website recently, we had our certificate program. So Duke now has basically a minor in entrepreneurship, right? I think that's a great advance. 4 courses, 2 practicums that have to total a minimum of 450 hours. We have tracks in biomedicine. We have a track in tech, in documentary studies, in entrepreneurship in the arts, and in social entrepreneurship. So we'll welcome our first class next year. We're pretty excited about that. You heard about the Duke in Silicon Valley program that's running here for the 2nd time. We have also the Duke in Chicago program running this year, again through Duke Global Ed, a 4-credit course. That's around entrepreneurship in the arts, and more specifically in the performance arts. So Jody McAuliffe, who's the chair of theater studies at Duke, is running that program. We have students in dance, in voice. We have a really spectacular student who's a stand-up comic. I mean, this kid is going to be on Saturday Night Live at some point. We have people who are interested in direction and production. So we're really excited about that program. You heard about the Summer Innovation Program, and we mentioned there's 30 kids in the Triangle, but that program was massively upregulated this year. We have over 100 kids, and that's up from, that's almost 3x from last year, right? So that program has really taken off. And you heard about Melissa and Doug Toys, a great company started by a Duke alum, and through a very generous gift from the Bernsteins, we started the Melissa and Doug Scholars Program this year and took in the first group of 12 students. So it's been a really exciting year. We focused mostly on the educational component of the initiative this year. We're now turning our attention to translation, to giving the the university community the tools that they need to take their ideas and to do things with them. I'm really excited about it and very excited about the program tonight. So thanks very much for having me here, and we look forward to it.
Thank you, Eric. Wonderful. Great. So we're done with our introductions now, and we're going to move into our main program here. So before we begin, we just want to show you a few of the companies that have pitched here before at our Startup Showcase event and see some of the results. So Katie Finnegan of Huckster is a Fuqua alum. They raised $5.5 million. Catherine Minshew is a Trinity alum, raised $1.2 million for the Daily Muse. Basil Anon raised $6.5 million for CoverHound. He was one of our first winners. And Tim Heyer with Gettable, formerly RentCycle, raised $1.8 million. And so it's great to see that sometimes this pitch event can help at least a little bit boost the chances for our companies. And so we're really thrilled with that. So with that, I'm going to now give our panelists each a chance to introduce themselves and say a little bit about their background. So if we don't mind going ahead and starting with Shea, and then we'll just go through the front here and go to the back. Here you go.
Hi, so my name's Shea DiDonna. I am a Fuqua 2010 graduate. I did the cross-continent MBA program at Duke. One of my classmates is here tonight from New York, so welcome, Ricardo. I worked in early stage venture capital for about 12 years and took my learnings from what early stage entrepreneurs need through the life cycle of their company and turned that into a new venture called Zana. So we're ZANA.io, and it's everything you need for peer-led knowledge exchange amongst entrepreneurs for every aspect of scaling your company.
I just did some math, and I think there are some freshmen here who were born in the same year that I graduated from Duke. Pretty scary. I'm Josh Felser, and I've been an entrepreneur longer than I've been an investor. I started two companies, one in the music space called Spinner, and one in the video space called Crackle. And I have a fund called Freestyle, which makes early stage investments. And I am thrilled that I can be as involved as I am in everything Duke and Fuqua and trying to be helpful. And someone said, you made a comment, I think it was you, Hyatt, and said some of you who are aspiring to be entrepreneurs and some of you who are entrepreneurs, and I think the second you're aspiring, you are. So that's all it takes.
Hi, I'm Jim Scheinman. I run Maven Ventures and Maven Ventures Growth Labs. It's a consumer-focused micro VC fund for seed and Series A investing. Before that, I was an entrepreneur for most of my career, and I've been fortunate to have worked with some companies that have had the unicorn type exit. So looking for great companies in that space. And I'm delighted to also be working with Shea, with her and Zana, and building the next unicorn company for Maven and for Shea. I also want to mention that a few of my startups are looking for some summer interns. So if you are looking for that kind of work, please come find me, or you could just email me, jim@mavenventures.com.
Hey everyone, my name is Ash Fontana. I run most of the fundraising stuff at AngelList, and we're a big platform for startups to help them raise money, recruit people, and just generally get to know each other for the purpose of doing all sorts of business. And I'm here just because Duke has always been particularly good, and Duke alum have been really great at networking through AngelList, and is one of the biggest, I think the biggest university alumni networks on AngelList.
Hi, Blake Byers, Duke 07 from Pratt, and then when I did my PhD at Stanford, helped start a couple companies along the way. Now I'm at Google Ventures, invest in both life science companies and then companies in the web, especially online lenders. Also, we're a happy investor in AngelList.
Hey everybody, I'm Fred Ehrsam, one of the co-founders of Coinbase, which is the largest US Bitcoin company. We raised about $30 million, most recently from Andreessen Horowitz. Interesting note for this crowd, I think I've recently hired one of my friends who is the same class at me at Duke, and we've got a senior graduating this year joining us on the engineering team as well.
Hi, my name is Tim Wilson. I'm the oldest member on the board up here. I actually saw Coach K show up at Duke. So there you go. I also never went to school on my second year at the Fuqua School. I started a company then. I spent 14 years in big companies, Did another startup and been doing venture investing for the last 14 years.
Great. Thank you, everybody. And you can keep that microphone. So let's go over how this is going to work. So we have 7 teams now. They all have Duke alumni that run them. And those teams are going to present. Each team is going to have 7 minutes to present. I'll come up here when 7 minutes is up. And then they're going to get 3 minutes to answer questions from our panelists. There's going to be 2 winners tonight, at least. The judges can decide if they want to select more. We're going to have the audience select via text message which team you think did the best. And the judges are going to go with Marie Angela out there to deliberate for about 10 to 15 minutes to select their favorite team as well. So with that, let's begin the competition. Okay, first up is CrowdTunes.
All right, good evening. You guys ready to rock a little bit? Good. Well, thanks for having me. I'm Brandon Mags, been the CIEIO of CrowdTunes. And I have another question for you guys. By show of hands, and don't be embarrassed about this, but how many of you put a quarter into a payphone in the past 5 years to willingly make a phone call? I got 3 people. I'm sorry. So the next question then is, why are we still putting over $500 million a year in single bills into jukeboxes? Borrowers will tell you that these are dollar-devouring dinosaurs that take up space that could otherwise be generating revenue. They break down, and they're expensive to the tune of $5,000 to install. And patrons, of course, we want to be on our phones. We want to be social, we want to be mobile, and we want to do it right away from our bar stools. CrowdTunes is the solution to both of those problems. First, for the venues, we provide you a free legal solution that keeps people in your venue longer, spending more money, and returning more frequently, because we give patrons the power to power the playlist from their palms. More on that later. But first, let's talk about a venue. So if I walk into your venue, I have an iPad. I log on to your Wi-Fi. I plug into your sound system via the headphone jack on this iPad mini, and I plug into your TV. And in that 10 minutes or so, what you've got is a fully functioning, free, legal music management platform that's going to play songs to your tastes. I'm going to ask you who your favorite artists are, what your mood is in your bar, and things like that. And so what we create, again, is this platform that keeps people around longer. We advertise via your TV screens. And what it results in is first savings. So you're not paying $40 a month for a stale satellite music service that you have no control over. But more importantly, it drives top line growth. In Durham, where we've piloted this, we've seen a 25% week-over-week sales increase from people staying longer and spending more money. Let's talk about patrons. So Josh, at the end of this, you've seen too many hockey stick charts, need a drink. So you go to the closest bar. You sit down, you see CrowdTunes is there because you see it on the TV. You might see it on table tent or on a coaster. You download the app and you bid on your favorite song. Crazy Train? Okay.
I'd go pour a little.
All right, pour a little sugar on it. So you bid on that and it plays like a jukebox would. Your song goes in, it costs you 33 cents. But then Blake comes behind you and you're bidding and he says, your music's really bad. So he outbids you, he puts 2 credits on his song. All of a sudden his song is above yours. But Shea likes your music, so she bids again on your song, and now all of a sudden your song is back above Blake's. So what you get is this bidding environment, this competitive atmosphere where very quickly it's not about the music that's going to play, it's about who's going to win and who's going to impose their will on the bar and show their friends how cool they are. And by doing this, what we've done is we've figured out a way to sell what is traditionally a $1 song for 15 or 20 bucks. This isn't made up stuff. So what you see here is a few pilots we ran in Durham over 5 weekend nights. One, it starts 11 p.m. and goes to 2 a.m., so you can see the upward slope there. People drink more, they spend more. But 2, people will pay a lot of money for the music they want to hear. So what we've unlocked is the ability to do this willingness to pay everything above $1. And so what we're seeing is $1.89 on average per song. This is real results, and songs going for over 20 bucks. Not because you paid $20, but because you and 10 of your friends paid $2. Collective bidding. If you extrapolate this out, what it results in is roughly $6,000 a year per venue, which gets you to a $100 million business pretty quickly. To triangulate that, we talked to the former CEO of TouchTunes, and they're making $10,000 a year per venue. So we're a little bit below that, but we're okay with that. So the astute ones out there are saying, well, that's awesome, but you don't want to sell onesie-twosies into bars. That sounds terrible. I agree with you, and here's what we're doing about it. So we're in 5 venues in Durham, North Carolina, where we're located, basically mostly on hustle. We're going to get to 50 by the end of the year by continuing to hustle and leveraging strategic sales channels, such as operators, liquor distributors, et cetera. In addition, we're also piloting with large major chains. So we're piloting with an Applebee's store that owns 130 more Applebee's in the area. So if we do our job right, we're not in 50, but we're in 150 locations by the end of this year. Additionally, let's not stop with bars and restaurants. What if this was in the Durham Bulls Stadium or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Stadium, both of which we're in talks with to help them program their music for pregame, postgame, and TV timeouts. In this way, we expect to expand to many more than just 50 venues this year, but 15,000 very shortly. And when you think about it, at the end of the day, if we have 15,000 venues on the TVs, on the airwaves, and on the phones of these people, we're not a jukebox company, we're a customer experience management company. We have the ability to advertise to them, to collect their data, et cetera, and I think that that is not just $100 million, but hopefully that's sort of the billion-dollar pie in the sky that we all aspire to be. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. How do we first become the best jukebox company we can? How do we win this market? Well, there's two key competitors, jukeboxes and streaming satellite. We beat those because, one, we don't have a setup fee, we don't have monthly fees. We're much more interactive than both of those. And much easier to sell. There is a very close competitor called Rockbot, who Blake probably knows a little bit about because they're actually a Google venture-backed company. They got onto the scene early, but they're still charging bars a monthly fee, and they spent a lot of time developing a custom piece of hardware that every bar owner has to install in their bar. Additionally, nobody else out there is doing the bidding. It's all pay $1, pay 50 cents, get your song into a queue. So we're unlocking that competitive nature in people. The final way that we win is our team. Forgive the pun here, but we really do have a rock star team. Collectively, we've got 4 Dukies, including 1 genius undergraduate and 3 MBA folks, and then 2 guys that came on as very strong programmers. Tons of engineering experience, a lot of consulting experience at places like Bain, BCG, Accenture, and Deloitte, and a lot of startup experience. So 6 startups founded, a few exited places like Cisco and iRobot, and we're going at it hard from the underground on Main Street in Durham. So in conclusion, the past 12 months, we've proven the model, we've built a prototype, we've contracted with licensing bodies, including the PROs and the major music labels, and we've had some success on the competition market as well, most recently winning a $50,000 grant in North Carolina. So from there, the next 12 months are going to see us release a beta version, which is coming out in the end of June, finalize these contracts with these majors who we're in discussions with, and most importantly, continue to sell, sell, sell. So I want to thank you very much for your time. This wasn't a possibility 5 years ago when mobile wasn't as prolific, bars didn't have the infrastructure, but quite frankly, the time is right. Now is the time to disrupt this market, and I hope you guys will join us. Thanks.
Great, 3 minutes of questions.
It was a great presentation. You know, the quality of presentation was maybe the best I've seen from the years that we've been doing this. So congrats on that. Very interesting business. I've looked at some companies in the space. I think for me the biggest challenge is trying to scale this kind of business, and you know, going door to door or trying to scale in that way is going to be challenging. I don't necessarily have an answer to that. I'm just wondering if you have any thoughts about, is there a way to make it so that the people who actually use it, if it can become viral in any kind of aspect?
Yeah, so you know, initially there's a lot of door-to-door stuff, and we just have to do that to prove the model. So we've tried to reduce the barriers to sales and make it as easy as possible, right? I give away an iPad like Uber, and you're ready to go. We do hope in the future that by getting into these key markets, we will have that pull demand. So releasing it as something that you can download very easily and say, hey, now I have a music management platform that I, Brandon, have to go install in your bar. Like that. That's a little ways away, right? We need to make sure we get the demand in the key markets and that all of the bars and the restaurants' friends want it and drive demand that way. But it is kind of the future, the goal that we get something like that.
I mean, so I think, you know, when I hear you did a great job, you explained the problem, the opportunity, the challenge. I mean, you did it. And I think one of the things that I would like to learn more about is you have a hard start problem, which is your competitors have inferior products, but they're effortless. You know, you sit back and you're passive. So how do you overcome the hard start problem? You know, do you, it's not only kind of, you know, I don't know if it's just getting the iPads in more hands, but people have to actually learn about this, understand how to use it. How do you move beyond the hard start problem to make it more fun and effortless?
Yeah, I don't want to echo myself, but I think it comes back to a lot of the stuff that I just answered. You know, it's making it easy, making it fun, putting in incentives like refer a bar, getting in the hands of major distributors. So looking at dealing with liquor distributors, et cetera, who are already selling into these venues every day, and incentivizing them to help sell it for us.
A hard start with consumers.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so the consumer side, we're having a lot of fun with that actually. So again, go back to the Uber model, right? Uber took off a little bit because you could refer a friend and get credits for that, and it was very simple and very fun. So doing that, incentivizing bartenders, working with, for example, Triangle Brewing to have a special that says, hey, if you purchase a Triangle beer tonight, which is in the Durham area, you get certain CrowdTunes credits. That's a little more on the fun side of things. I think that we actually kind of enjoyed experimenting with those things to see what really works well.
I was going to comment in the same. You said it's a 10-minute setup process, which you're changing behavior there, which is always a challenge. It's kind of the uphill battle. So I think that's a great opportunity, right? I think there's a different way where you can ensure customer loyalty. I know when I was in Durham, we always went to the same 3 places. So it's if you can create a feedback loop there where people are demanding it, and then you're taking the pain point out of the customer's hands and putting it. Bars want to have it. So that's where I see the opportunity.
Thanks. Great point.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Nice job, Brandon. Okay, next up is Aaron with Rocketbolt.
Hey there, my name is Aaron Dinin. I'm one of the co-founders of Rocketbolt, and we help small and medium-sized businesses increase conversion rates on their websites in order to make more money. Now, helping companies make more money with their websites is something my co-founder and I have a lot of experience with. You see, I spent the past decade in the web marketing industry. My co-founder, Matt Hofstadt, is an award-winning UX developer. We're pretty good at what we do. We've helped some incredible companies, multi-billion-dollar clothing companies, websites getting 5 million plus people per day, and even the occasional television celebrity. And what we know from working with these kind of companies is the amount of resources they put into making sure their websites are customer conversion machines. By that, I mean they put tons of time, tons of money, tons of staff into making sure that as many people as possible come to their websites and then do exactly what they want. Usually that means buying something. So for example, take a look at a site like bananarepublic.com. Now, when you get here, after you're there for just a second, a window's going to pop up. It's a customer conversion funnel. It says, sign up and save, get 25% off. Just give us your email address. Now, if you're a consumer, you're probably thinking, ooh, 25% off on those pants I was looking at, great. But if you're Banana Republic, what you're thinking is 2 things. 1, we're going to give you a reason to make a purchase right now while you're thinking about it. And 2, we're going to get your email address so that we can remarket to you and tell you about all the great pants we have coming up season after season. Now, a lot of work is actually going into a customer conversion funnel like this. Everything from the typography, the design, to the messaging, who it shows to, when it shows to, how it shows to them, right? That's all being thought up by a big team of people, and they're using a bunch of tools. There are literally dozens of tools that help with these kind of processes. They're really powerful, but man, they take a lot of time, a lot of knowledge, and they can cost a lot of money. In fact, companies will spend about $80 billion a year on customer optimization, customer conversion tools. Now, that's great if you're Banana Republic, but what if you're a company like this? This website belongs to Mabel's on Main. It's a local restaurant out in Scottsdale, Arizona. And guess how many people they have working on their customer conversion process? 0, right? Big goose egg. That's because a company like Mabel's doesn't have those kind of resources. But what they do have is Rocketbolt. And Rocketbolt's algorithms are embedded inside of Mabel's on Main, and it's basically doing all that optimization work for them. It's seeing who's coming to the website, where they're coming from, how many times they've been there, and then we're able to funnel people into customer conversion funnels. Things like this. We'll slide out a little panel and say, hey, like us on Facebook, get a cocktail for a penny. Well, someone clicks that. I think cocktails are like $15 a piece there. It's a good deal. And a window will open up, say, thanks for liking us on Facebook. Now give us your email address so we can send you that promotion. It's a very effective customer conversion funnel, kind of like what you saw on Banana Republic. Let me show you how effective. Over the next year, Rocketbolt's going to help Mabel's collect over 2,000 social media interactions. That's 2,000 people coming and telling all their friends how much they love Mabel's. On top of that, we're going to help Mabel's collect over 1,000 email addresses. Those are like gold to Mabel's. Those are people they can retarget, go back to, market, get them coming back again and again. But most importantly is we're going to give people on Mabel's website a reason to come in right now. In fact, we're going to send almost 1,000 people into Mabel's over the next year. Those are people who are going to make purchases, which means all told, we're on pace to help Mabel's generate over $40,000 a year in additional revenue. And that's great, but here's what makes it awesome. The amount of time it took Mabel's to tap into that was just 5 minutes. So that's all it took to add Rocketbolt to their website, configure it, and never have to think about it again. And that's just kind of the first part of the opportunity. You see, once Rocketbolt is on a website, well, then there's dozens of customer conversion funnels we can throw out, which means we can continuously provide more value to our customers. It means we can also continuously upsell our customers and increase their value to us. So we're pretty excited about what we've built here. In order to tackle it, what we need to do is obviously get on as many websites as possible. Step one for that is building a great team. We started that, includes 3 Duke degrees among us, as well as this summer we have somehow 6 Duke interns. Actually, no, we have 5 Duke interns and 1 UNC kid. Guess which one gets me coffee every morning? I don't even drink coffee. So that was step one. Step two, of course, is we've got to pay things like people's salary. Now, we do generate revenue, so we decided we didn't need to go out and get a huge round. In fact, we just decided to do a small friends and family round, but we don't really have a lot of friends and family that can invest in things like tech startups, so we made some good new friends. People like Jonathan Pirelli, Chris Hively, one of the co-founders of MapQuest, and I'm pleased to announce, I guess, publicly for the first time, the Dorm Room Fund of First Round Capital was looking to make an investment outside of their core tech cities. They found out about Rocketbolt, and they've actually made that investment in us. So with their help, with the help of these wonderful investors as well as our team, we've basically moved on to step 3, which is find a target vertical and demonstrate a scalable business model. We've decided to go ahead and target, well, restaurants. You saw how well Rocketbolt works on restaurants. We've got a pretty solid pitch to them. It's give us 5 minutes, $50 a month, and we'll make you up to $50,000 a year in additional revenue. You're not going to have to do anything else. Turns out it's such a good pitch that we can cold contact. For every 1,000 of them we cold contact, we'll get 4 monthly recurring revenue customers. Now, let me put that into perspective. There are almost 1 million restaurants in the United States alone. It means at our current conversion rate, we're well on pace to be doing about $1.2 million a year in annual recurring revenue sometime in the next 12 to 18 months. And that's just the beginning. You see, that's just one vertical in one country. But we've actually seen Rocketbolt work on websites as big as PerezHilton.com, getting 5 to 10 million people per day. We've also seen it work across everything from Segway tour companies, doggy clothing companies, and my personal favorite, medical marijuana dispensaries. It's the best site it's ever worked on. It was amazing. So in other words, what I mean is there's actually tons of websites that Rocketbolt works for. In fact, there's 10 million of them in the United States alone, over 100 million around the world. And our goal is to make sure every one of them has a better customer conversion machine, thanks to Rocketbolt. Thank you.
Good stuff. How easy is it? Do I have to have any technical skills? Does it figure out what events are going to fire the offers and I just put in the offers? There are a lot of these things out there, so how easy is this?
So it literally takes less than a minute. If you can add a Facebook like button, if you can add Google Analytics, it's even easier than that. On top of that, WordPress plugins, things like that, you just click a button and it installs. So you don't have to do anything else, no coding.
How do you know that you've influenced an offline transaction?
Sure, so we actually have ways of tracking it. So people can go in and they can redeem it. It gets recorded in our system if they're able to connect it with their POS system, those kind of things. And then we also have our partners that we work with. We know what they're doing. We know they're using it. And we can do online and offline, right? So a lot of it we're able to track through coupon codes, those kind of things, and we're actually able to see the conversion rates.
So is it a code that they take in, maybe they print out a list and then cross it off, or how does it work on the merchant side?
Yep, so on the merchant side, if you're a physical vendor, what you'll do is someone will get an email. The reason we're doing an email, of course, is because then we get your email address. But so we send an email, and then what they're able to do is print it, they bring it into the vendor, and then if the vendor shares that information with us, there's a benefit to it because we can actually remarket to the people who maybe didn't use it, right, or remarket to the people who did use it with additional offers. And again, that's all automated, again, to keep the revenue flowing in, and they don't really have to worry about it.
So yeah, that part seems like the most messy piece of the entire thing, right? Because foreseeing me getting an email, then I bring either a physical coupon or something in my email on a phone or something like that, and that has to hook into what is some number of different point-of-sale systems if you're targeting restaurants first, right? So like, how well does that actually work in practice?
Well, that's kind of the amazing thing. So it's not a coupon, right? Coupons have about a 1% redemption rate, and that's because they're free. What we've done is we've created a subtle psychology shift. Because the person has to do something like a Facebook like or a Google Plus, Twitter follow, they're actually having to earn it. And so what it becomes, it's actually a reward. And because it's a reward, we see about a 50 to 60% conversion rate, redemption rate of those things. So people actually get them and they have a reason to bring it in because they think it expires, like they're not going to get it. So it's playing with user interface, user psychology to move that.
I'm more asking like, what's the cost of the business? In other words, like as a user, I walk into one of these restaurants with something that I've received via email. How does that interaction occur in person?
Sure. So, if you're a restaurant, you set up whatever deal you want, right? So it's important to do something like, get a free appetizer when you purchase 2 meals, right? So there's no cost to them, right? They're making sure they get money. Once they're in there, it's just accepting a coupon, just like they would accept anything else. It's super simple, doesn't require any additional work. I mean, they're all prepared for that. They've been doing that for, however many years they're in existence.
Are you selling via phone or via face-to-face?
So we've got a fully automated system. I'm happy to tell you more about it. Basically, emails out to all these people, messages out to them. It's all automated. We're developers, so we built this really cool back-end system I'll tell you all about sometime.
Thank you very much, Aaron.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up is Crick with EasyNDA.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, judges. We're going to talk about disclosure. This is something that, if you haven't started doing your businesses yet, you will. And it happens when you have to talk about your pricing or your costs or your market deployment schedule. At some point doing business, you're going to want to disclose something. And when you do that, you're going to say, by the way, don't tell anyone else. So you end up with this thing called a non-disclosure agreement. And these are very common, and they're relatively simple. It basically says, I'm going to tell you something, don't tell anybody. Or I won't tell anybody what you tell me. Well, it turns out that as simple as they are, they're also more trouble than we expect. I'm in business in a lot of time with a lot of different companies, from small startups I've started to the biggest companies in the world like British Telecom and AT&T. And there's always trouble in managing non-disclosure agreements. First question comes when you're in the field, you're sitting down with somebody across from coffee and they say, geez, I'd love to tell you that, but I think we need a non-disclosure agreement. You joined the company a year ago, you still don't know all the companies that you have non-disclosure agreements to. First question is, do we have one already with you? I don't know. And has it expired if we do have one? Well, if you don't have one, the next question is, where do I get the current version that's signable? And then can I sign it? And if I can sign it, I have to go through this whole process of however you guys do it, whether it's DocuSign, trying to move everything around, or printing and signing it. And then you end up with a document, you don't know what to do with it. I mean, believe it or not, big companies, employees don't know what to do with their NDAs. The biggest companies, Fortune 500, Avaya, Cisco, General Electric, and others, they use complex NDA management systems that they get from companies like these. Cisco, for example, does 200 NDAs a month just in their partner program. Now, for the less than Fortune 500, you can go to a variety of places and download a form. You can even fill it out first and print it, and then you can take it from there. But that really doesn't solve the problem for us, because what we need to be able to do is use our own company NDA, but more importantly, we need a platform to manage that NDA. So what do you do with it? How do your other employees engage with it? And how do you manage your risk? So to judge whether this was a problem that only I was having in my teams, I'd look to see web searches. And I thought document management and contract management would be big hits. About 55,000 searches a year. Electronic signature, much better, 145,000. But it turns out non-disclosure agreement, that term, dwarfs all of them with over 200,000 web searches a year. So then we said, okay, let's check with businesses. Let's reach out to our networks. And without fail, people in business say, yes, it's a problem. They have it now, and they'd like to have the product, and they're willing to pay for it. So we talked to even bigger companies. And we talked to Cadence Design System, another Duke graduate yesterday. He's the general counsel there. NDAs have been a thorn in our side for a very long time. We would have adopted an off-the-shelf solution like EasyNDA a year ago had there been one available. Instead, they had to code one themselves. So we put together a team of tech, business, finance, and law. My law guy is a double Duke MBA JD. And we create an EasyNDA. 3 components: document management, transaction processing, and access management. The document management piece of it, store, find, track, know your exposure, terminate documents, terminate agreements, or renew them. And the next one is access management. So how do you manage your team? Who has signature authority? Where do they get the documents from? And then the other piece of it is the very simple part. It's the click, sign, send. So the next time you're sitting with a client, you don't have to say, I'll get back to you next week or tomorrow with a non-disclosure agreement and delay your conversation. Your business can proceed smoothly. Our website is live, and it's quite simple. There's 3 components. There's the management component, template building component, and managing your team. It looks like this. You can click on our template, opens up, you fill it in. We remember everything about you. You just put in your other contact information from the other company, and off it goes. It fills in all the contact, all the information, all the purposes and exposures, expiration date, sign it electronically, and it's stored in your online document management system. It's a SaaS product, very easy to acquire and use. We start with a very simple subscription model for individuals, and it grows. Depending on how large your organization is and how complex your business needs, integration with Salesforce and so forth, you can pay a much larger price. It's sold as this complete, simple web service. You just come and get it and use it. Unlike a lot of traditional enterprise solutions where you have to call a salesperson and arrange for a trial and demo, any individual in the organizations can use this product to help them manage their NDAs or teams, and then they can grow from there. We'll use low-cost advertising in forums like LinkedIn, where sales professionals live, and other business publications, and along with AdWords to attract those 200,000 people searching for non-disclosure. And we'll also employ a channel sales model. But NDA also has a native distribution action. That's one of my favorite parts is each time a new NDA is created on our platform, we get a new enterprise that signs up automatically. We have composed a legal advisory panel. These, any lawyer can join. Basically what they do is they review our document and they say, this is fit for use. If it has our watermark on it, their clients can use it, sign it, and accept it. We just started, and we're getting there. May 6th, we turned on our URL with our very minimal product. That allowed us to have a usable product where you can do a click, sign, send, and get one going. Very shortly, that's where we are today, the blue arrow, we'll have a bring your own NDA. So you can drag and drop your company NDA in there, we'll templatize it, and then you can use it. Next big step for us is then starting to market and going to a billing model, get our subscription model out, and then do the Salesforce.com integration. What we find is most of the mid-tier companies, the 100 to 500 employee companies, want us to do an integration with Salesforce. Well, despite the fact that we've only had a live website for a few weeks and we've done absolutely no marketing besides my own Facebook page, we get 2 to 3 companies a day finding us and registering for this site. So for you, you can use EasyNDA today. And if you have any questions, contact us at EasyNDA.
Another great presentation. Yeah, good to see you. Congrats on this great startup. So I was just curious if you could share a little bit about the market. You know, I don't know, how big is this market? And in particular, you mentioned some large enterprise companies already doing this for the much larger companies. How big is that market?
Right, that's a great question, and I've been struggling to figure this out. I know that everybody in tech, biotech, anybody who shares any information, whether it's even retail pricing or release schedules or branding information, they sign non-disclosure agreements. It's very hard to operate a business, this kind of business, without doing them. So they're pretty much ubiquitous. And there are whole forums of people that debate the wording around NDAs. So I did the best I could, and I looked at the total market, and I broke it down by size of employee. So the 100 employee group and then the 100 to 500 employee group. And that's the number of US firms. So call it 600,000 or combined 1.25 million. Then I mapped that against the pricing that I proposed, typical SaaS pricing where you have tiered. There's 5.3 million US firms with small guys, but really what's that middle tier look like? And if you do a theoretical market value and just straight multiplication to see if everybody needed an NDA and they signed up for our service, would it be a big enough market to go after? Well, what I like is the sweet spot, and that's the 100 to 500 employee marketplace. That's $1 billion of potential revenue. So some fraction of that, the tech markets, anybody who has to protect anything are doing NDAs. And right now, that particular market segment doesn't have a solution that's easily accessible. The big guys like Avaya have a solution for it. So anywhere that's, I mean, I've talked to several public companies that are in the 600, 700 employee range. They have one full-time paralegal managing their help desk, their legal help desk, to turn around NDAs, standard NDAs out to the field. And that's what we want to tackle with this first document.
I hate effing NDAs. I can't stand them. So I love that you're doing this. And my biggest question is not whether this is needed. I think it's needed. It's which company is going to be best prepared to take advantage of it. A horizontal play like DocuSign, who's going to start doing verticalizing different types of documents, or a focused company like yours. And that's my biggest question is, it's going to happen. And what type of company is going to be best prepared to take advantage of it?
Exactly right. So I actually met with the board of DocuSign because I wanted to, before I put my energy into this, I wanted to find out whether I was just going to run into the wall. And the board member loved it. He said, no, we're not doing that. if you do that, let me know, which is the kind of answer I wanted. They're focused on much more complex document management solutions, particularly in real estate, which is something that they can afford to tackle and I can't. But I can do this one first and then grow.
Who's got the problem? Like, who do you sell to in the organization of 100 and 499 that is going to buy?
So it's
last question.
Sure. So actually, some of the people in this audience have come up to me and said, "Oh my God, I'm going to start using that tomorrow." So they're my customers first, and then individuals within an organization can use this to keep track of the documents. Either they sign a document from Cisco, what do they do with it? They can drag and drop it into our platform and keep it with all the other NDAs that they do. They can use their own form. When I was at AT&T or in British Telecom, I would have used this product just to keep track from my team. I had 14 people working for me around the globe. They're signing NDAs, and they're keeping it in their desktops. I needed to figure out what was going on. So it starts small inside the organization, and then, of course, we know what's going on, and we can go come up with a complete solution for their enterprise.
Much, Crick.
Thank you.
Great. Next up is Dave with Coheezion.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for allowing me to present. My name is Dave Anderson. I'm the co-founder of Coheezion, and we help companies navigate their way to better decisions. Several months ago, I was talking with a data scientist, and she was actually managing a phase 1 clinical trial. And she was deciding whether to move the trial from phase 1 to phase 2. So she took a look at the available data that she had, she approved the trial, and she moved it to the next phase. Several months after that, she actually just very recently, she was looking at some additional data sets. She was doing some additional analysis on some new objectives. And the data showed that there were some adverse drug-drug interactions and some very negative patient symptoms that actually caused her firm to kill the trial. Unfortunately, this was after they had invested almost $15 million additional dollars in development for phase 2. Now, when she initially had actually approved phase 1 trial, she wanted to make the best decision, but she didn't have the right information available. She didn't have the right analytic ability at her fingertips to be able to do that. And the reason for that is because the data that she needed to make that right decision was not accessible to her. It could not be securely shared within her enterprise so she could access it and she could use it to analyze. And any attempt to actually do this in a manual way was going to be too costly and too cumbersome for one single individual to do. Now, this problem is not a new problem to pharmaceutical research. The scientists that I've talked to, they understand that they have data access and data management problems. But every single day they have to decide, is it better to decide whether I'm meeting my endpoint objectives, whether I'm staying compliant, whether I'm identifying my risks with the information I have available to me right now, or with the information that I should be using to make these types of decisions. Now, of course, it's better to use all the information that you have available, but the reality is that within pharmaceutical research, clinical trials, and compound research development, only half of the available information is being used to make these decisions as to whether to move a trial from phase 1 to phase 2 to phase 3, or to actually approve compound research. And the reason is because the data is inaccessible. The unstructured information that is so critical as part of the analytic process is not available to most all of these smaller to mid-size, even the larger pharmaceutical and compound research organizations. Because of regulatory compliance, because of privacy issues, it can't be secured, and if it can't be secured, it's not shared. And if it's not shared, it's simply just not used in that process of evaluating that trial. So Coheezion helps solve this problem in 3 very specific ways. First and foremost, we're helping companies make more efficient decisions in how they access and how they analyze their information. We have the ability to collect any amount of structured and unstructured data. We'll normalize that data together, and we'll provide the capabilities to correlate that information together, even very disparate data sets within an organization. Records such as electronic health records, correlated to email information, correlated to voice record logs, correlated to social media types of information that are all relevant to a specific patient, which is entered into a specific clinical trial. We also help companies make more effective decisions. We actually provide very deep visual analytics that show the impact of the data sets against each other. We don't just show what data is out there, what data is available as part of a trial or as part of compound research process. We show the impact of different data sets against each other so that people understand what and why, or what is really truly going on with the data, why it's happening in that way, and what they need to do about it. And then lastly, we help companies actually govern their decisions in a much more secure process. We have the ability to remove very regulated, protected health information out of patient records, out of trial data, so that that information can actually be used as part of the analysis. Companies that don't have that ability right now simply don't use those electronic health records because they don't want to touch the PHI. It's too risky for them to do that. So we help them pull that information out so they can use the rest of the very important data as part of that process. We also support risk-based monitoring governance needs, and I'll get to that in just a moment. Now, the ROI that we're starting to see with companies that we're talking to, there's really twofold, or there's two aspects to this. I was talking with an individual, he's a Duke grad, one of my classmates from Gemma 2010, and he runs a clinical research organization that their whole responsibility is to manage clinical trial information. And they spend thousands and thousands of man-hours collecting information, trying to put that information into somewhat of a standard structure and format. And with the ability that Coheezion can provide, we can do that automatically, and we can save them thousands of man-hours across every single trial that they run, which is 50 to 100 trials every single year. Now, on the governance side, one of the biggest costs that his organization and others that I've seen are incurring is the risk-based monitoring. What they have to do is they're going out, they physically send people out to every one of their development sites at a cost of over $6 million a year to simply make sure that the development site is following the process and is following controls. Coheezion has the ability to pull together all of the information that their monitors are using anyway, visualize whether they're in compliance, give them the ability to analyze in a real-time manner whether they're following their clinical trial process, whether they're staying in compliance, whether they're securing their records, so that they don't have to spend that $6.3 million. Now, they estimate that with the Coheezion solution, they can save upwards about 75 to 80% simply of their data monitoring costs. So how do we do what we do? We leverage the power of big data. We can pull in again, and we can pull in, collect, store, and manage any amount of structured and unstructured data across any development site. We provide visual analytics. Again, it's the why and the how, not just the what. Think about a very large jar of M&Ms. Okay, most of the other visual analytics solutions that are out there tell you that you have 250 red M&Ms and 412 yellow M&Ms. But they don't tell you what actually you do across each, or they don't tell you how each of those impact each other, and we provide that what and the why and the how. We provide very specific visual analytics around geospatial, social network, and link array analytics, which are very different than the pie charts and the bar graphs that they're used to. Where are we at? We have lean development. We're working with several beta customers across a couple different MVPs. We're projected to have a 1.0 release in Q4 of this year. Tomorrow, our beachhead is going to be in pharma and life sciences simply because of the size of the market and the size of the value that analytics is going to be providing to these markets going forward. We're running out of time, so I'll just skip a few of these. From a competitive play, it's very simple. None of the other competitors, direct, indirect, or just do your own, have the ability to leverage the visual analytic capabilities that we have across any data set in a very automated way that we can do. Our team is made up of everyone. There's only one non-Dukey here, but I've sent him a Duke sweatshirt, so he's kind of a Dukey at heart now. We've converted him. So with that, I'll take any questions. Thanks, Steve.
How do you analyze the unstructured data? I'm guessing that's imaging, clinical notes. What are you trying to learn on top of it?
Yeah, the unstructured data are things such as email information, social media information, and these are things, doctors' notes, doctors' records, and so forth that aren't captured as part of a clinical trial development system. And this information can be very, very important in terms of identifying additional symptoms, additional causes, additional effects that could be ongoing that happen outside of the context of that trial. So a patient, for instance, could be involved in a trial. They could go to the site, do their tests, and everything looks fine. Then they could go home and they could have dizzy symptoms, or they could have other things that they're going to maybe post online. They're going to post on their social media account. And the ability to capture that outside unstructured information, map it with the development side information, is giving the scientists and the users a much more comprehensive picture of everything else that possibly could be going on with that particular patient.
Because I was under the assumption that they'd have some defined clinical endpoints for each stage of the clinical trial, that extra data would be kind of superfluous in deciding whether or not to move forward.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. They do have very defined endpoints for each of those trials, and they're analyzing those endpoints against a limited set of information and data that's available. So by pulling in the other unstructured information that could be relevant to that trial, they can start to gain additional insights to see, yes, we may have met these endpoints, but there could be other things, such as the adverse drug-drug interactions that I was referring to, that if they would have identified that sooner in phase 1 earlier on, they could have made a better decision as to either kill the trial or as to even gain some additional insights to say, this trial here, this isn't where our opportunity is. There's other interactions that are going on with the data. It could lead them down different paths to look at new opportunities.
I just want to, I'm going to point out a few things about the presentations. I don't really have any questions about what you're doing because I'm not exactly sure what it is exactly you're doing. But I think for everyone, you were about a minute or two over and you didn't even get to maybe a third of your slides, and maybe there were some of the more important ones. So it's sort of a lesson learned for everybody. And this is a good opportunity to talk about, make sure you prepare. Make sure that you've practiced this, exactly how much time you have, and that you get through your presentation. Just some general things about your in presentations. The worst thing you can do is write a lot of text and repeat it. And so you have, it sounds like there may be something really interesting there. Make sure you present it to people who have no idea what you're doing. If they don't get it, then you've got to start over again, right? It's got to be explained much more visually in a way that people who aren't necessarily in your industry can get. Because if you can do that, if you can really simplify it, then the people who do really get it are going to love it, right? So I think you still have a lot of work to do on the presentation in general.
I would agree with that. There's the other suggestion would be, can you share like a story that says the aha moment that gives me context for understanding? So, like, is there a customer example or a drug that was going through that you said, hey, instead of doing this, this is what I did for this company, or this is what I could do for this company, so it makes it real?
Yeah, there's two examples. So on the first example specifically was around identifying issues with the clinical trial much earlier, so that you can actually save. They saved a lot of money, or they would have saved a lot of money if they would have been able to do that. The second example is more on the opportunity side. So.
The way I heard it was, I could do this, right? I didn't hear what you did to do that. And maybe it's too early in the process. I don't know.
So that wasn't a theoretical. That was a real example of a clinical a data scientist at a clinical research organization that had found issues with their data
that you would have found before. That they
could have found before. Yes, absolutely. Okay. So on the opportunity side, back to the earlier question about very specific endpoints of these trials, that's all they test for. They look for very specific objectives. If they hit those, they move it forward. If they fail those, they throw the data away and they move on. Now, the Viagra example from several years ago is an example of a clinical trial that had failed. A scientist went back and started combing through all of the data to look for other relationships, other interdependencies of those data points, found some very specific results and very interesting results that led them to define a brand new trial. There was a new opportunity that they defined, and they actually developed a brand new drug and a compound for a brand new purpose that they never would have found before if they didn't go back, if they didn't have the ability to look at the dependencies within their data sets.
Thank you, Dave.
Next up is Bo with All9s.
Thanks, Howie, and thank you all for being here tonight and for giving us an opportunity to get up and present our company to you. My name is Bo Epperly. I am the co-founder and director of business development for All9s. I'm joined here today by my president and co-founder Arturo, who's in from Boston. And we're both just really excited to get up and share with you a little bit about what we've learned over the last year and a half since starting All9s about companies who are hosting their data on public clouds, and how we've taken the lessons that we've learned to build a business continuity solution for data backup and replication in public clouds. Now, I hope to impart on you a little bit about what we do, but also how we've built what we've built and why it's important that we're vendor agnostic. So let's get into it.
So as Bo was mentioning, I've worked for a long time in business continuity, specifically around doing disaster recovery for VMware environments. And reason that if business continuity was such a big deal in private clouds, it certainly would be a big deal in public cloud environments. And so we went out and did some basic research to figure out what the state of the industry was in the public clouds. And what we found was that the biggest cloud provider out there, Amazon, had suffered a significant outage, a couple of significant outages over the course of a couple of months. Around the time we were doing our research, in addition, we found that every major cloud provider in the US had suffered a major outage over the course of the last couple of years, always at significant cost to their end users. We went out and talked to those customers, to the customers of these cloud providers, and found that yes, they were concerned about business continuity and the reliability of their cloud environments, but they were more concerned about something that really surprised us. They were concerned by the fact that they were being locked into these vendor environments. They were moving up into places like AWS and Rackspace, and it was all so easy, but now they had no choice but to stay with these companies. And so what we decided to go do was to build a solution that would allow our users to easily migrate their data, not just within regions and accounts on AWS, but also across different cloud providers, between Rackspace and AWS and Azure, and make the whole process turnkey and seamless for our end users. So in practice, what does this look like? So in practice, it's a website. You go to the website, you sign up for the service, you want to create a replication profile, you tell us a little bit about your cloud environment, you give us a little bit of information about the source environment, destination environment, tell us how often you want to replicate the data, and we take over from there. You never worry about it again. We give you a dashboard view that gives you back control of your data. We replicate all of your data from your primary environment to your secondary environment. You tell us how often you want to replicate it, and we give you visibility and transparency into where your data lives at any given point in time where you didn't have that before. So what are customers telling us about the service that we're providing? We've gone out and tested this with a number of small companies that are hosted primarily in Amazon, and I would emphasize that what we're really focused on is providing a backup and replication service for companies that are hosted primarily in the cloud. It's not a backup to a backup, it's a backup for their primary environment. And what they're telling us is that they need this, they need to have the flexibility to move from one cloud environment to another, and that they're willing to pay for it once we move into production. My co-founder, Bo, mentioned that we're serving an underserved market, but it's not a market without any kind of competition at all. In the past few months, there are a handful of companies that have popped up that have addressed bits and pieces of the problem. They replicate certain pieces of the cloud environment, and they do it at different frequencies. Sometimes they do it every night. Sometimes they do it continuously. We are the only company out there that is looking to solve the entire problem, replicate the entire application stack across multiple cloud providers, and really liberate our customers from vendor lock-in. We think we've got a team that has shown that it can execute in the past. We have built similar products in similar spaces in the past multiple times. We have advisors that have significant experience in building companies in the business continuity space, in the software as a service space, working in large enterprises, and also in doing business development. We think that with the team that we've got put together now and the product we are getting ready to release within the next few weeks, we are going to give our customers the ability to move freely within cloud environments and really liberate them from the situation they're in today. And with that, I would turn it over to the audience for any questions. Thank you.
So I remember when the AWS outage happened, and it's a real problem. Several of the companies we were invested in were completely down, so I totally get the problem set that you're addressing. A quick question with my entrepreneurial hat on is, how much does it cost? Because this is we built a predictive data analytics backend platform for our site, so we have quite a bit of cost in this arena, and I would be very interested in finding out if it's a duplicate cost or, because we're startups, so we're trying to keep lean. So how are you addressing those issues of cost?
Yeah, so there are two costs, really. You own the source environment and you own the destination environment. And so there's the added cost of replicating the data over to the secondary site. We've got a total cost of ownership model that shows that those added costs are relatively insignificant in the cloud. Storage costs are not the big cost driver. It's usually server costs, and we don't incur any additional server costs. In terms of what we can charge our customers, there are not real good analogs to what we do right now, but there are products that are similar, and sort of the price point that we think customers are comfortable with is anywhere from $100 to $400, with sort of the midpoint, the sweet spot for us being about $200 a month, all usage based, obviously.
A quick, just so I understand the need here a little bit more. Overall, how long has AWS, for example, been down over the last year? And secondarily, not every business, like for some smaller retailers, for example, not everybody might need, if that percentage is extremely small, to be up 100% of the time. 99.9% might be okay. So can you help quantify some of that?
Yeah, sure. So, just to be clear, what we're not doing is we're not eliminating outages. What we're doing is we're mitigating the impact of outages. And it's not just, weather-related outages. It's a whole host of situations that might occur that would cause you to lose your data. You have a disgruntled employee who walks out of the company and decides to wipe out all your data on your primary environment. You have somebody who hacks into your environment and deletes the data. You want to simply be able to have a backup in case you fat finger the delete keyboard someday and you want to restore it from that secondary environment. It's really, we're addressing a number of different use cases that are all, sort of like, standard use cases for good backup and replication software. All of the reasons you would back up and replicate your data in an on-prem enterprise environment are still valid in the cloud environment.
Yeah, I guess I had the same question around. It seemed like a few different value propositions you're going after. It's like we're going to eliminate vendor lock-in. We kept bringing up Amazon's downtime as one of the key reasons to use the product, but at the same time, then you'd have to replicate on rack space, and then also keep a production environment that was live and ready to switch over really quickly there if you're going to eliminate the downtime. So it seemed like a really useful product. I'm a huge believer in the space, so it's like as you move towards the cloud, moving your data more seamlessly to that environment, but then moving it between all the environments, I think I'm still struggling to see what the key value provider is, other than maybe these kind of off cases of a malicious employee or a hacker coming into your environment, in which case I'm not even sure the replicated model between all the different providers would be that helpful.
Or there's some value prop around a one-stop shop, presumably.
This
is the last question.
Okay. So a couple things. If you're really concerned about using our product to do mitigate downtime, then what you would do is you replicate, and you also want to take advantage. You want to mitigate the impact of the disgruntled employee or the malicious users getting in your environment. What you would do is you replicate between accounts in AWS, and certainly if you can restore your environment in one AWS account, you better be able to do it in a secondary AWS account. You don't have to have servers up and running in the secondary account. You have to be able to deploy those AMIs and those EC2 instances very quickly, which you should, if you're in AWS already, you better be doing that anyways. Now, in terms of moving from one cloud provider to another, agreed, if you want your application to run successfully in multiple cloud environments, you have to be able to deploy them in multiple cloud environments. We don't help customers do that right now, so if you take advantage of native AWS APIs, yeah, those APIs are not going to exist in Rackspace. But if you're just taking, a 3-layered architecture, moving it up in AWS, and want to be able to restore it in Rackspace, that's a solvable problem.
Okay. Thanks, Arturo.
Thanks.
Next up is Josh with Fawn.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. Quick question here. How many of you guys love to take pictures with your phone? I'm done. Let me take that one step further. How many of you guys have been in the middle of a conversation and either you or somebody has some pictures on their phone and they end up having to pass it around as opposed to just being able to instantly share with everyone around you? Cool. So we are Fawn. I'm the CEO of Fawn. I'm the co-founder of Fawn. And we are aiming to build a mobile app that allows you to instantly broadcast your photos to anyone live and instantly. So in the interest of time, we pulled together a little video. And I want to show you quickly that how this actually works. So imagine I, Josh, want to share a few photos with some people around me. We don't have any contact information, and we may or we may not be on Wi-Fi. So I quickly click the share button. I choose the photos that I want to share. The others around me see that I'm sharing photos. They ask to join. I accept the request. And then within a few seconds, we're all looking at the same photos, of which I can control quickly. And at the same time, I can click end, and then all photos are instantly vanished from everybody's phone. All right. So with Fawn, what we're trying to aim here is to create an ephemeral platform where you're sharing photos for the moment. You want to be in the moment. And there's two key aspects to it. We want to create a very simple experience here. You're either broadcasting, you're sharing, or you're tuning in. And taking that one step further about the use case about with your friends, it's not only about being able to instantly broadcast and share photos from your phone to everyone around you in the moment without having to send anything, without having to download anything. You're sharing in that moment. Taking it one step further, it's about enabling people to not only be in that room with you, but one step above that, and they can be anywhere in the world tuning into that specific broadcast. So it's very location specific. What you guys just saw in the demo was related to a private broadcast, so we have the capability to make it both private and public, so you could broadcast to anybody in a room and globally as well, or you could have it private where people could request to join. Right now, we are in the iTunes App Store. It's using iOS peer-to-peer SDK technology. We also have an underlying proprietary streaming technology that we filed a patent with. It's leveraging Wi-Fi, Wi-Fi Direct, and Bluetooth for the in-person proximity use case. But as I mentioned, we want to create a solution that's not only about allowing people to be in the moment with each other in the room, but also at a global level. So who are we? As mentioned, Josh is on the CEO and co-founder. My background is I was a director at a strategy consulting firm with a focus in consumer digital products. My team, who's sitting here here in the second row, Donnie and Jay, they both hail from Salesforce.com. They're both senior engineers, senior architects. We worked together for several years. Donnie in particular came from another company called Coral, which was acquired by Salesforce. And Donnie and myself, we've known each other for about a little more than 15, 20 years, which dates me a little bit, I guess. The problem that we're solving here, as mentioned, is that mobile phones, obviously, there's the proliferation, and everybody more and more are really becoming more comfortable with taking photos. And we have a lot of photos in our phone. And we would love to share these photos, but in a lot of cases, it's a clunky process to share them. When you're with people and you're sitting around a table or you're in a room, sending and receiving files, it takes time. It also takes up capacity in your phone. Passing around the phone, which I mentioned, it's an awkward process. It's often invasive as well. And then finally, the last one, posting online. It takes time. I mean, we have all these photos that are in our phone, right? But often we end up spending infinite amount of minutes like picking the exact right one for Instagram, Or with Facebook, we have 20, 30 photos, and we put maybe 10 of them in our album on Facebook, but then it's there online indefinitely, and anybody can download. This is all about a raw, unfiltered process. You don't have to worry about sharing, what's going to be shared, because what you share instantly disappears as soon as the broadcast ends. The competitive landscape. These are just, some small companies up there. So what we're really trying to do is we're trying to create, again, a very simple, easy to use experience that's light, it's very natural. The key thing here is that it's a live experience. So again, as the broadcaster or the sharer, the people that are viewing it, they have to be on the app at the exact same time. There isn't a latent sending element to this. So similar to Snapchat, you post, you send your snap. Somebody could see that snap a couple days later. This is about being live in the moment. You can do it with anybody. There's no contact information required. So the demo that you guys saw, you'll see the other phones, we didn't even have contact information shared. It was just about being in the moment. Again, the content that we share is fleeting, it's ephemeral, so it's only there for that time that you're sharing. And lastly, it's location specific. So you're being delivered content as a viewer based on where you're standing. Likewise, it's all about, as somebody who's broadcasting, where you are right now. So why is this exciting? It's going to be very relevant. It's not only about where you stand today. We have the capabilities to make it, related to your interests. So you'll be able to tune into broadcasts from anywhere in the world that are happening live right now. Related, it could be art, fashion, it could be a concert, it could be games. It's going to be social, so there's going to be liking elements to it. There's going to be messaging, comments, friends, followings, all the key elements that are required to make this a viral app today. And most importantly, it's going to be an entirely new platform for sharing and expression. So it's all about tuning in now or you'll miss it forever. So where we are today, as mentioned, we launched an early MVP, a very early MVP. You guys today can go ahead and download it in the iTunes App Store. It's been there since February. We filed a provisional patent for our technology and the experience. We've really done no marketing data. Our focus has been really, really focused on product market fit. We're heads down in development and just playing around with some of these pitch competitions. We were recently in the finalists in the Oracle annual fundraising series, and most recently, which we're fairly proud of, is that a few days ago Apple reached out to us and selected us as a cool design that they're that they are highlighting right now at the Worldwide Developer Conference. So again, we're very excited about this opportunity. We really believe there's a gap with all these photos that we have on our phone, and we want to thank you guys for this opportunity. And if you guys have any questions, please feel free to contact me. Thank you.
One suggestion, one question. Firstly, I'd suggest making it a much lower friction experience. No, like asking for permission, just flick, flick, flick. These people in my vicinity can see it. And also trying to make it work offline with multi-peer or otherwise. So that's a suggestion. The question I had is around the broadcast use case. Is this celebrities? Is this sharing presentations with people in an easier way from your cell phone? The non-proximity broadcast use case you suggested, I don't really understand that.
Yeah, so just the first part, actually with the current version right now, you don't even need a Wi-Fi connection. It's leveraging Bluetooth and Wi-Fi Direct. In terms of the non-proximity solution, the way that we're thinking about it is, let's say you're at the Giants game and you're taking these really cool pictures. Maybe you're taking 20, 30 pictures, and its ability then to log into Font and have those pictures posted into a broadcast that people can actually be there in the moment with you. So that's kind of how we're looking. That could be, and then the other element of this is, if it's a celebrity or an artist and they're in a recording studio or they have some cool pictures that they want to send, but it's only for a time box period, they could use Font as a platform to do that.
I can't help but feel like with both the proximity and the non-proximity that you're still trying to find the right product market fit. Can you help paint a picture of what the ideal sort of use case is here that you see where this is significantly better than the next best alternative?
Yeah, so going back to the use case with the Giants, for example. So you're in a stadium with a group of people. I think it's going to be really cool to be sitting there and you can see all the different pictures that are being taken. So that one element is a proximity solution. at the other side, it's like, what if you're somebody who can't be at the game, but you're curious, like, what are the cool pictures that people are taking? Maybe there's somebody that's right by the dugout, or maybe somebody has an awesome perspective from the top of the stadium. So in that, in that kind of ideal scenario, you both have kind of the proximity and the non-proximity solution.
So I think there's two different potential products here, and I'm just going to focus on the one I think that you're really, or at least that you seem like you're focusing on, which is, I've got some photos I want to share. There's a group of people, and they, instead of having to pass the phone around, they're going to see it, right? One of the challenges of that kind of business or that product, is first of all, how are people going to know about this? And start, if you get one person, maybe they share with others, which is great, but they have to be in that moment right there, and so it's going to be hard to this become a habit. And so I think I guess my advice to you is focus on one or the other. Like the immediate use case is very different than, oh, I'm here at the game and I want to broadcast to people who are somewhere in another state. Two very different products. Maybe eventually you could tackle both, but I'd say, for a consumer startup like yours, just focus on one. And think the other thing to think about is, I just downloaded it. It's actually nicely done. It's, it looks good, and I shared a photo and there's nobody there, right? And so that's going to be one of your biggest challenges.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, again, we're still in a very product market fit mode. We're actually running some focus groups right now. But I think the thing is, to your point, how do we generate content? And so that's why we're thinking it's not only about having that ability to share in person with other people, but it's why not bring people from anywhere in the world into that exact moment? So that's going to instantly create a lot of content into our app. Cool.
Thanks a lot, Josh.
Thanks.
Okay, next up is Andrew with Final Card.
Good evening. I'm looking forward to introducing you all to Final Card, the credit card for the 21st century. If you all notice Bay here, the credit card was not made for the internet. Bay decided it would be a good idea to tweet her new debit card information to all of her followers. She quickly found that she had 30,000 of them and 3,000 retweets. She became very popular very quickly. Some of us are fortunate to not distribute our financial information this way, but nonetheless find that once our credit card information is in the hands of others, it is easy to replicate and send instantaneously around the globe for purchases on our behalf. So Final Card is a digital card platform that eliminates the headache from credit card fraud and puts consumers in control of their wallet in terms of how and when their card is charged. It's a digital card platform across web, mobile, and with a physical card. I arrived in San Francisco in November 2013. I'd like to take a step back here, how this all started. I'm a bit tired from my drive, but also very excited to be in San Francisco. I moved into a new neighborhood with a city Target and immediately started shopping there for my move-in needs. Unfortunately, by January of 2014, the Target breach had occurred, and I found myself a victim of credit card fraud for the first time in my life. I'm not alone. How many of you in this room have experienced credit card or debit card fraud in the last 12 months? So amazingly, it turns out that 42% of Americans have been victims of card fraud in the last 5 years. And that was before the Target breach. In the last year alone, there have been 90 million Americans affected by card and identity fraud from the Target breach. The estimate's around $2.2 billion in damage. Additionally, for 3 months later, the Heartbleed incident occurred where it turns out that about 70% of internet sites, their core security was affected. And that includes the transmission of secure data such as social security information, and again, your credit card information. The costs of that are unknown. Now, the industry is aware of these security flaws, and they are taking action. The industry went before Congress and said, we will make a change. We'll use the EMV chip and pin system from Europe, a 20-year-old technology. It will cost between $5 and $10 billion. $5 and $10 billion. It will require integrations with every single merchant. And again, it's a 5 to 10 year rollout, and it has no effect on online card not present fraud. So historically, with the UK, when card not present, when EMV technology was rolled out, online fraud increased. It's sort of like squeezing the balloon, where now that it's much more difficult to have in-person fraud, the fraudsters migrate online. It's the new weakest link. It's very easy to attack online sites. So the expectation for the US is no different. As we move over to this technology, the new frontier will be online. A number of people had said 2014 is the year of the breach. It will continue until the technology changes. And unfortunately for a consumer, today's solution to deal with fraud is very quaint. You have to look over your bill. You have to determine which charges could be fraudulent, cancel your card, wait for your card to come in the mail. If you're traveling, this is additionally difficult. You have to re-enter your card information for all your subscriptions. It's a broken model. You can use Credit Karma or Mint or BillGuard to assist you, but it's all this reactive process. There's no proactive security. So why is it that my files are more secure than my credit card? There's a lot more. There are very good digital security models that exist out there. Yet we still have this static card number that we're using for our payment information. This presentation is on Dropbox, and in some ways is much more secure than the credit card in my wallet currently. So we developed Final Card to solve this problem, again, to solve the headache from card fraud and to put consumers in control of their wallet. It's a dynamic card that generates one-time use numbers with restrictions for mobile and internet purchases and dynamic restrictions on your physical card. Additionally, there's some added benefits to this. For example, if I want to control subscriptions, and there's a 2-week trial that I sign up for, but I don't want this charge to be recurring, I can set up restrictions so that the charge never happens, or so that it happens for 2 months, rather than being this kind of line item that disappears into my bill that I forget about. Another really interesting piece of our technology is around rewards. One of the biggest innovations in rewards in the last few years has been Citi and Chase integrating with Amazon, so you can instantaneously spend your points at Amazon checkout rather than your cash. With our technology, you can spend your points instantaneously anywhere on the web. Anywhere on the web. It's one of my mom's favorite features of her cards. So we can provide this to customers beyond Amazon and beyond Citi and Chase. So why are we the team to do this? Well, I've worked in Fortune 500 marketing, done enterprise sales, and come from a family of 5 generations of bankers. Want to give a quick wave to my team who's watching this from afar, both in Boulder, Mississippi. All of us have worked for Duke-founded startups in the past as well. Aaron led the engineering team at Simple Energy, where I worked with him in the past. He's a very talented full-stack developer and has a focus in security and scalability on infrastructure. And Matt comes from a payment startup where he's worked from point-of-sale systems all the way through banking APIs. We also have an advisor, Sasha Orloff, CEO of Lindup, and former senior vice president of Citi Ventures. In the market, the lifetime value of a customer in the credit card space is $500 to $1,000. There's a reason why they can give away $200 to $400 for you signing up for that card. You're a very profitable customer. There are a number of different revenue models. One is as a technology layer to banks to layer over their existing card customers, and the other is to actually launch our branded, unique card product to customers. Ondot has taken one approach. They were recently founded in 2013. They're worth about $40 million now. They have an on-off switch for your debit card. Capital One, founded in 1988, worked with a small Virginia bank to create unique credit card offers. So what's our status? Today, we've launched an alpha product to 20 customers. They're trusted friends and family members because, in fact, it's from our own personal line of credit that we're allowing them to interface with our product and make purchases. So Yes, we are looking for more trusted people. Additionally, we're in active discussions with bank partners. By August, we anticipate working with a bank partner to launch the product and have a full-fledged demo. And by the first quarter of 2015, we expect to be integrated with a full product. A parting thought, I think Fred will appreciate this one, which is that it is very unsafe to make purchases under the existing card security model. Use protection, everyone. Thank you very much. You can sign up for our wait list at www.getfinal.com. Happy to take questions.
Thank you. Use this mic for answering questions.
One tip and then a set of questions. Get straight to the product. We all have credit cards. We all get it. And there was a lot of slides about fraud. And as you saw, like half the room or half the country has experienced it. So on the product, how does it work? As in, like, how many credit card numbers can you give away? Does it cost you to generate a credit card number? How scalable is it? What happens when we get more numbers than we have digits on the card for? What happens if it gets recycled back and then used again? Is it attached to you? How does it work?
Sure. So to lean down here a little bit. The credit card model has 16 digits, so it's 10 to the 16 in variation. They're additional, so each bank has a BIN, which is the first 5 digits, 10 to the 11 per bank. There's also a CVV2, which has 3 digits. There's also an expiration date. There's also name information as well. So depending on the depth and level of our integration with the processor, there's an unlimited amount of recycling that we can do.
What's the probability it gets recycled back on me?
Yeah, so that would depend on how many billions of transactions we would be doing. Currently, there's no recycling happening on the commercial space, and they do 50 billion a year with this type of technology.
I think Bank of America had like a Shop Safe product or something where I would generate a temporary credit card number that I'd use to check out online.
Yeah, so there are 2 current restricted uses on the consumer side, both Bank of America and Citibank. It takes about 12 steps to use them, very limited use cases, and not used to its full potential. And it's only through an old pop-up window. So we have familiarity with those, and we've used them. And it's not using the dynamic card number to the full potential or integrating that with the physical card product.
And then on the fraud risk side, like half the room had experienced credit card fraud. Do you know what % of those actually end up incurring some cost themselves due to the fraud, or is it just always eaten by the issuer or the merchant?
Yeah, so on the credit card side, the risk is smaller. It's a $50 liability. Typically, the industry actually waives that as a $0 liability card. On the debit side, it's higher. It's closer to $500. So there's plays on both sides. The credit card industry is significantly more profitable after the Durham amendment. So there's very little money to be made on the debit card side without massive scale. So we could either roll out to millions of customers on the debit card side, or we could launch to 10,000 customers on the credit card side and have a very profitable business.
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm wondering. On the credit card side, what's the incentive for the customer if the bank is always covering their fraud?
Sure, so it's the headache involved. So we've actually talked with a number of people who hate the fact that their card is canceled, that there were some people who actually accept fraudulent charges on their card rather than cancel their card and have to deal with re-entering their information, which includes like paying bills on time. Includes all their subscription services like Uber and Lyft, and may happen while they're traveling. So it's not the cost; it's the resource of time, like losing half a day of my life that I don't need to lose.
Thanks. Thanks a lot, Andrew. Give me a hand. Thank you. Okay, so here's what's happening next is the judges are going to go out of the room. They're going to deliberate for about 10 to 15 minutes. And while that's happening, you all get to play along here, and you get to vote for your favorite team via text message. I'll talk you through that. And the other thing is we're going to do a group Q&A with all the teams, where we're going to invite all of the teams to come on stage, and you, the audience, can ask whatever question you would like to ask. So first thing is first, we're going to do our voting. So let me pull that up. So final card and CrowdTunes tied for the win. Nice job. Okay, could I have all of the teams come on up for group Q&A? Okay, anybody in the audience can ask any question to one or multiple teams up here. And we've got a little bit of time to kill, so don't be shy. So who wants to go first? I see Terrence in the front here.
So I have a question for Vaughn, and I'm just wondering about like when you're in the setting that you're talking about directly, what is like the radius for that?
So I'm going to repeat the questions for those people in the back. So the question from Terrence is for Fawn, and it's when you're actually broadcasting, what's the radius that you can broadcast to?
So right now we're using Wi-Fi Direct, and Bluetooth, and it's basically the radio distance of those. So whoever's connected to the same Wi-Fi network as you, or as far as those radios can reach. So pretty much the room.
Thank you. Next question. Yes.
Questions for Brandon and CrowdTunes. How do you set up credits with payment for consumers? Do you have to put in your credit card information?
Question for Brandon is, for CrowdTunes, how do you set up payments? Do you have to enter in your credit card information?
Nope. So right now it's all in-app purchases to avoid that hassle of another step of putting your credit card information in there. So.
Irina.
So I have a question for Aaron. Taking like Google Analytics and other instruments, how much people should know about this tool before using Rocketbolt?
So the question is for Aaron at Rocketbolt and Google Analytics and other similar type tools. How much do users need to know about those before they use Rocketbolt?
Sure. So we built Rocketbolt specifically for the people who didn't need to have to use Google Analytics, right? So Google Analytics is what you would call a passive solution. Means it collects a lot of data, but you have to spend lots of time looking at that data. You'll spend hours every day looking at it, and at the end of the day, it's just information, so you still have to act on it. Rocketbolt is what we call an active solution. We call it automated lead activation. So it's designed to get customers doing things for you so you can spend time doing other things, because I guarantee not a single restaurant in the world started a restaurant in order to worry about their website.
Thank you, Aaron. I think I have a question right here.
A question for the final card. Do you have to modify the physical card itself in order to use it? I mean, if the bank were to implement your system, do they have to physically modify the physical card, or can it just not modify it, but just totally generate random numbers?
So the question for Final Card is, do you have to physically modify the card? If a bank wants to adopt Final Card, do they have to actually physically change the card in order to use your system?
So the first go-to-market implementation would be no. It would be a physical plastic card with dynamic restrictions. So you could restrict the location of purchases, whether or not the card was on or off, and the type of merchants and the actual amount that could be used on that card. For any online or mobile transaction, it would be a dynamic number that would allow a lot more restrictions. So a future scenario would be that you could have dynamic numbers pushed through NFC at point of sale, pushed through QR, or pushed through dynamic magnetic stripes, such as the coin card.
Great. Next question.
Another question for Rocketbolt. So companies like Marketo, they allow their customers to personalize how they want to interact with their customers, and funnel down. And you mentioned about the 5-minute setup. Like, what other interactions are there for customers with your product?
I didn't quite catch the question, but can you try to summarize it?
So actually, I'm glad you brought it up. So you're talking about, Marketo is the CRM, Salesforce, those kind of CRMs, which are all about kind of actively engaging with the customers that you've already gotten. That's exactly kind of the gap we're filling. So right now, at the top of the funnel, you've got all these tools for filling the top of your funnel, your pipeline, inbound marketing, outbound marketing, content marketing, Google AdWords, those kind of things. And at the bottom of your funnel, you have CRMs, automated emailing systems, HubSpot, Salesforce. There's a huge kind of industry for that. The only issue with something like a CRM is you actually have to know someone's contact info. You have to have a customer. You have to know their contact information. They have to be activated in order for you to market them. So really what Rocketbolt's doing is we're filling that gap of, as I said before, automated lead activation. There's this kind of huge hole between top of the funnel and CRM solutions, automated marketing solutions. And so what we do is we give you access to that information. we share the email addresses, they're your email addresses, and then we connect with Salesforce integrations, HubSpot, those kind of things, so that you can then continue to nurture those customers into recurring customers, et cetera.
Great. Yes, question right here.
Sorry if this is a potentially duplicate question, but for Final Card, how do people who don't participate in e-commerce and don't have a smartphone use your service? I think of a lot of people who have credit cards and are victims of credit card fraud, but who don't participate in online shopping or don't have a smartphone. How would they participate in this dynamic card solution?
Do you mind summarizing that question?
So how does someone use Final Card and interact with it if they don't have a mobile phone?
Or they don't have a smartphone.
A smartphone or access to...
was a victim of Target and doesn't shop online, things like that. They're a big market.
So probably not our ideal target market to start. We're looking to focus more on security-minded folks and millennials. Likely prime borrowers, about 20 to 30 million Americans. There's still potential on that side. There's actually another startup who went through Y Combinator called TrueLink, who allows for controls for your parents' payments, and a lot of that is then configured by their children. So their children might be in their 50s, and this is for 70 or 80-year-olds who are being harassed by telemarketers, and their children actually have some control over their finances. So there's actually a model for that as well for a credit card, where we would have multiple user access and admin access with different family members. So that would be the likely case with that, but honestly, probably not our target market to start.
Other questions?
Okay, I think we've got a few more minutes to kill. I know we've got a bunch of Duke entrepreneurs here in the audience. I want to just open up the mic for anybody that wants to come up and introduce themselves, give us a status update, tell us what your startup is, tell us if you're looking to hire anybody. If you want to be hired, you're welcome to come up and tell us, give us a little pitch about why we should hire you. Chris, I'm looking your way. Andrew, I don't know if you want to do it. Nick, come on up here, buddy. I'm going to force you to do it. Come on up. Yeah, come on up and please give a quick intro. Let's give him a hand.
Hi, everyone. My name's Andrew First. Graduated 4 years ago. I work on a startup called LeanPlum. We do A/B testing, analytics, and personalization for mobile apps. We're going strong right now. Been around for a couple of years, and we're hiring, especially engineers. So if anyone is an engineer or knows engineers, feel free to refer them to us. Specifically, we look for someone with Android experience or backend. So my contact is andrew@leanplum.com. So let me know. Thanks.
Thanks, Andrew. Great. Let's give him a hand.
My name's Chris Morton. I'm the founder of a company called BlockScore. We do simple ID verification and authentication. So imagine if you're signing up for a new financial institution, they ask you a series of questions about yourself. We power those kinds of services. We're looking for a data scientist and some engineers as well. We're in the current Y Combinator batch, and we just closed a $2 million round with Battery, Closa, and a bunch of others. So it's blockscore.com.
Hey, congratulations, Chris. That's great.
Nick. Hi, everyone. My name's Nick. I just graduated from Fuqua School of Business 2 weeks ago. I have a background in electrical engineering, and I'm currently seeking for a position in product management. So if you guys know anyone or your company who's hiring, please let me know. My name's nick.jen@fuqua.duke.edu. Thanks.
And Nick is awesome, so you should definitely take him up on it.
Hey guys, my name is David Perkins. I just graduated from Trinity a couple weeks ago. Packed up my car, drove all the way out here. I'm still tired. But I'm the founder of a Vibe, which is a social music network that offers a unique solution to discovery and playback. And right now I'm looking for a technical co-founder to come on board and help me build this from the ground up. We have a lot of the technology side out of the way, so you don't have to worry about the grunt work. But if you're interested, come find me after we finish up. or you can email me at dtp5@duke.edu. Thanks.
And David, you also, let's give him a hand first. Yeah. And David was on the Duke baseball team, and what, you all swept Carolina for the first time? Congratulations. Swept Carolina for the first time. All right, Nick.
Hey everyone, thanks for having me today. My name is Nick Milionis. Howie, of course, always a great time being here. So I founded a company called Bitwall. We are a content monetization platform. We work with various digital media properties and do their monetization. We've got a variety of products that we put into the market. And broadly speaking, always interested in connecting with entrepreneurs. Also, we're looking to add to the team, so particularly engineers, looking for full stack engineers, generalists, and looking for people who are a good fit for our team. So I'd love to connect. You can reach me through any of the various outlets, LinkedIn, whatever it may be, Facebook. And yeah, based in San Francisco. Durham's my hometown, so I'm always willing to chat about Duke and Durham as well. And again, thank you so much, and please reach out. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick.
Thanks, Nick. Nick and I are actually RAs together when we were undergrads at Duke.
I'm trying to forget about that.
Hi, everyone. My name is Yingying Liu, and I'm Trinity 2010, majored in public policy studies. I've actually recently moved here about a month and a half ago, and I'm looking for a job, but my background in tech was international. So I spent 3.5 years in Beijing. I was very immersed in the startup community there, and I built a social enterprise that's actually still running that places migrant workers in jobs through mobile, video, web. And I uprooted all of that to come here because I realized that the center of technology is Silicon Valley. I'm looking for business side roles, largely in business development, but also operations strategy, ideally at a company that's in its growth stage. So anything tech-focused, growth stage, Asia market entry is my specialty. Thanks.
Great, thank you.
Hi, my name is Mark Rotblatt. I graduated from Duke in '99, and I'm part of the founding team of a company called TubeMogul, which is a media buying platform for video ads. We've been around for 7 years now, so a little bit different stage, but we've got, I think, over 75 positions open right now, from engineering to product management to, we just sent somebody over to China, so we should talk, Ying. And we filed our S1 in March, so cross our fingers, good news in the future.
It's great. And can you just say again, what's the name of the company and what does it do again?
It's TubeMogul, and it's a media buying platform for video advertising. So you could think of it like E-Trade for buying ads across digital devices.
Great. TubeMogul, TubeMogul.
That's right.
All right, great.
Thanks
a lot, Mark. Appreciate it. Matt, can I invite you to come up here? So Matt's our co-chair of DukeGEN here, leading our California group. He's the CTO at Pocket. He's been an awesome Duke supporter. How many of you use Pocket? Can we see a show of hands? How many of you use Pocket? About half of you. Awesome. Great. Well, Matt, you've had a lot of updates for Pocket. Do you mind just saying hey and giving people a little bit about what Pocket is and what's been going on?
We're really stalling now for me.
We really are. And can you tell a few jokes, I guess? Or?
So
good. Okay.
So Pocket.
Yeah, go ahead and do it.
All right. So Pockets, you can think of it like a DVR for the web. So you come across articles, videos, things you want to check out over the course of your day. It's not always the right time for you to read or watch it. So what Pocket allows you to do, we integrate into all the different apps you use. We have browser extensions or on your phone. You just save that item to Pocket, and we have apps across Android, iOS, iPads, tablets, mobile phones, everywhere you want to go. And your content's always with you. So we sync it like a Dropbox syncs your files, Pocket syncs your content. And whether you're on the commute home on your phone, you can start reading that article. When you get in bed at night on your tablet, you can pick it up, watch that funny video your friends posted on Twitter or Facebook or whatever else. So that's what we've been doing. We've been around for a while, and last week we launched Pocket Premium. So it's our first kind of premium product. So that was a pretty exciting adventure, which I will tell you about another time, I suppose.
Well, can I brag for you a little bit? I'll brag for him since just because. So they just won 5 Webby Awards.
Yes, we won a bunch
which
of
is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And
at the Webbies, you can only give a 5-word speech.
And what was your 5-word speech?
I'm definitely saving this for later. I believe
Nice.
it, like
And
held
is
up
it-
the Webby.
Is it public how many users you all have? Can we?
We have over 12 million users.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt.
I stalled
All
for
right.
you.
So if I can invite the teams to come up as well. So let's pull the panelists over to this side, and we'll have the team stand there. That way you can actually talk to the teams. So panelists over here. So this is the portion where the panelists will give feedback. They're going to give feedback to each team and kind of reveal the winner as they go down the line there. So whenever you guys are ready, go ahead.
I'll go quickly. We're going to give feedback to everyone, but we'll go quickly on the teams that didn't win. But All9s, where are you guys? I think that you know, there's something, we saw the kernel of something in what you were presenting, but there were too many different paths that we felt you were going down. We couldn't figure out what was the core experience that you were selling. And even though we saw potential there, we couldn't actually get our arms around what the main selling kind of, what your pitch was about, what you're gonna focus on. There were too many things to kind of look at. And so we think that if you focus your pitch, we would have been more sold on what you were doing.
So we're going to do top 3, and we'll get to the top 3 last. So Fawn, I think you even mentioned this is early on for you. You're still trying to find product market fit, which is great. So focus on that. Maybe explore both of those potential markets. It feels like there's something there. The one thing to remember when you're doing consumer startup is it's really hard to change or create new habits. And if you're not solving you have to be solving a big problem, right? And it's got to be something where people feel so compelled that they're going to learn a new habit and have it become something that's daily. When you find that, send me an email.
All right, where's Coheezion? There you guys are. Hey, so in that space, there's obviously a huge amount of inefficiencies, massive dollars wasted in clinical trial development, both trials that are shut down prematurely and clinical trials that go forward is even worse and then fail in phase 3. What was hard to figure out was which part of the process you were focusing on the most. There was a little bit about audit trail management all the way down to the clinical trial site and pulling up doctors' records. There was about like ingesting social data, and it seems like there's kind of a more obvious plan around just analyzing the existing data that these pharmaceutical and biotech companies are gathering. So we'd like to see like a more defined plan on exactly what that data is, and how, was it an analyst not inputting into the system and it was just a problem of not pulling all the data together, or is it an access problem? So anything around that would have been really helpful.
So Rocket Bolt, hi. We thought you did a really good job with the presentation. The marketplace is large, but there's also a lot of players in it. So wanted to see a little bit more about you closing the loop in the offline transaction and also being able to differentiate in service. It still feels like, I know you said you built some technology around to get beyond the door knocking, but would love to know more about what that is. So maybe highlight that in your presentation a little bit more so it didn't seem like such a hard labor to sell.
Cool. In third place was CrowdTunes. Presented the team incredibly well. The product's cool. The pricing data was cool. Focus a lot more on distribution. Say why AB InBev is going to do a massive campaign, because you have to go with a brand or QSR or like a hotel chain or something. Otherwise, you're going to be knocking door to door for the next 10 years. So talk about distribution a lot more, but otherwise presented really well.
So EasyNDA. First off, thanks for doing the presentation. It was clear. I understand what you were trying to do. Everybody that gave feedback, there was a lot of debate around, is it a product, is it a feature, or is it a company? So, it's like, is it a feature to somebody? Is it a product? Maybe. Is it a company? Not sure yet. So we were trying to figure out, how do you expand? Some examples would be, can you get into audit trails and show compliance? Who's the buyer? It's probably not a salesperson. They don't have the authority to sign and buy and interact. It'll probably be a CFO. So we encourage you to keep going and try to work on understanding how big this could be.
Okay, so final card, you guys obviously won. Congrats.
I'd say a couple things. First, I thought you were going to pitch me Bitcoin to start, which was awesome. More seriously, though, I think it was by far the biggest market opportunity. I would have two, and just to further that, when I heard it, I immediately asked myself, like, why hasn't somebody done this before, which is usually a good sign. I would give two pieces of feedback. The first is, I imagine that some part of this is more complicated than what was presented in the presentation. I think the biggest part of it is probably getting a banking relationship. There could be other things, I don't know them for sure, but I would encourage you to address those because it made me slightly skeptical. The second thing is, if this truly does reduce fraud rates, then hypothetically the overall economics are better. And I'm guessing that there's something you can do on the consumer side to give some of that money back and enhance the customer value prop. So I'd encourage you to think about that a little bit as well. But great presentation.
All right, congratulations to everybody. We're going to take a winning team photo with the judges, if you don't mind coming here, and we'll put final car in the front. Eric Toon, Reed, other people that have, Nat Coyden, and other people that have been helping, please jump in for the picture here. We'll put it up on our website for the next year or so. And join us at Epic Roast House. It'll be a cash bar, so just pay for yourselves, but we'll be there hanging out, and you can follow up on the conversations and create more productive connections. Thank you all for coming out tonight. It's been great having you. Thank you.